Okay, so there's already a million Raiden Shogun guides, but another rerun is coming, and this is updated for Fontaine. And some things have changed, especially the new strongest rational team, but we'll get to that later. First, this video will discuss Raiden's best weapons, artifacts, team comps, different playstyles, and her absolutely broken Constellations. So for starters, Raiden's weapons, she has many options, but there are a couple different things to think about regarding her kit and playstyles. Firstly, the most simple is Hyper Bloom Raiden, where Dragon's Bane is her best in slot weapon. Yes, the new Battle Pass weapon, Ballad of the Fjords at R5 has 19 more EM, but like, who's buying the new Battle Pass 5 times for 19 more EM? Just use Dragon's Bane. You could also use Moon Piercer or Katane Cross if you don't have Dragon's Bane. They are both EM weapons. Now for her normal build weapon options, Raiden Shogun is built around energy recharge and crit/attack. So any energy recharge weapons aren't nearly as much of a damage loss as they are on other characters. Her signature Engulfing Lightning is her best in slot. It has an energy recharge substat, and its passive converts ER into attack, making it her best by far. It also changes her build slightly, but we'll get to that later. Her second best in slot and very strong free-to-play option is the Catch at R5 preferably. You get this weapon and its refinements from fishing. It gives her ER and crit for her burst, which is almost all her damage. Other than that, all the 5-star polearms are decent, like Primordial Jade Spear, Staff of Homa, Skyward Spine. Use them if you already have them, but I don't recommend pulling them just for her. Finally, Raiden's extra free-to-play options, if you have none of those weapons, are Wavebreaker's Fin, which sometimes at R5 can perform better than the Catch, and then Favonius Lance as a last resort weapon. Moving on to her artifacts, she really only uses 2 different sets depending on how you're using her. Firstly, Emblem of Severed Fate is her best in slot if you're using her in everything besides Hyper Bloom. It provides ER and burst damage based on that ER, which she should have a lot stacked up of, easily maxing out the 4-piece bonus. The only exception when you shouldn't be using Emblem is if you're playing Hyper Bloom Raiden, which in this case her best in slot artifact set is the flop set. It gives a ton of damage bonus for Densho related reactions. Overall, these are the only 2 4-piece sets that work on her. She doesn't really use any 2-piece combos. For the main stats, her sands can either be ER% or attack percent. If you're using Engulfing Lightning, then ER is better, but use whatever has better substats. Then her Goblet, so you can use attack percent or electro damage. If she is getting a good amount of attack buffs, then use electro damage. If she's receiving damage percent buffs, use attack percent Goblet. And then her Circlet, crit rate or crit damage. The substats Raiden wants are ER% until you meet the requirements, then crit, then attack percent is a nice little bonus. If you're using Engulfing, then ER rolls are about equal to attack rolls. Oh, and also Hyper Bloom Raiden, EM, substats, EM, yeah. Now onto her different team comps and playstyles. So Raiden is mostly played in either Hyper Bloom, Raiden Hyper Carry, or Rational. Starting with Hyper Bloom, her best team is Nahida, then Yelan and Xingqiu. And yes, this team doesn't have a healer or shielder, but Xingqiu's rain swords and a little skill should allow this team comp to stay alive in all content. Plus, everything just dies before they even hit you. For Raiden's best hyper carry team, she wants Kujo Sara, Kazuha, and Bennett. Give Sara Elegy, Kazuha VV, and Bennett Noblesse, and your Raiden will hit for millions. Then finally, Rational. So her best team comp in general is Raiden, Xingqiu, or Yelan. Yelan is slightly better. Then Bennett and Xiangling. This team comp is very flexible in terms of rotations, it being fun and strong. However, I'm telling you guys, you're sleeping on Furina Rational. Okay, hear me out. Raiden, Furina, Bennett, Xiangling. So yes, Furina's Hydro application is a bit slower, but it works. Recently, this team comp has proven to be her strongest variation of Rational. Seriously, I suggest you all try it if you have these characters. It's so much fun. Now for Raiden's Constellations. So her C1 lets her gain resolve stacks faster, especially when paired with Electro units. Usually, no team lets her max out all 60 stacks. In a hyper carry at C0, she gains around 40 stacks, which is additional 280% on the talent for her initial slash, and 52.4% on attacks in her burst state. Meanwhile, at C1 in a hyper carry, Raiden can reach 56 stacks, 16 more, which adds 112% more to her initial slash, and around 21% to attacks in her burst state. Overall, it's a 10% damage increase, nothing too crazy. Then her C2 is the broken one. It's a direct, unconditional 43% damage increase, and a good stopping point for anyone wanting to pull Constellations. When Raiden is in her burst state, she ignores 60% enemy defense. Very solid. Anything past this isn't really worth it. However, I am going to talk about her C3 because it's her burst, which is nice that it's not at C5. Getting this Constellation is only cool if you want those insane number screenshots, but it just adds levels to her burst talent. Then Raiden's Constellations from C4 to C6 are pretty much useless. C4 increases teammate attack percent by 30%, which is only kinda useful in Rational, and C6 decreases teammate burst cooldown as Raiden attacks in her burst state. It sounds like it could be useful, but it's practically useless with the characters we currently have in the game. So as a Furina Rational enjoyer, I'm telling you, this character is very much worth it. Both fun, unique, and strong. With her upcoming banner, all of you should 100% pull for this character. Trust me, she's insane.